What's up, guys? It is week. You know what, Sheena? I had to have somebody remind me. I thought it was week 14, but it is week 15.
No, ma'am.
I know it is week 15 because of the bye, and you're tuned in to Quick Blitz bye-week edition. Sheena hit me up. She was like, "Should we do a Quick Blitz?" And I said, of course we should. And also, I want to thank everybody. We hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So continue to subscribe. We thank you for you all's support. If you don't know us, I am Vashti, editor-in-chief of Carolina Blitz. And Sheena Quick, my co-host with Quick Out the Blocks and Fox 1340. We are beat writers who cover the Panthers on a weekly basis. So we are as close to the team as you can get outside of being in the actual locker room. And so we love to bring you guys info and you know, just key on a weekday. And with this, I mean, I feel like we find ourselves in a position that we haven't been in a long
time.
Since Wilkes. I mean, usually I check out of this. Or listen, you got to know, I don't like New Orleans, okay? It's not my favorite place to be. I don't like the Mercedes-Benz Dome. It is dank and raggedy. And so if I could skip this game, this is the game that I usually skip. And I got to go this week. Why? Because the Panthers are first in the NFC South and playing for a division title. Sheena, this is crazy, right?
It is, but it isn't. Because we've been talking for the last couple of seasons about how the NFC South, if this anytime, nothing like the present. They have not had a very strong division in several years. Like I said, a couple of years ago when Steve Wilkes was the interim coach, they almost went to the postseason with a losing record. They pretty much had to kind of drag the NFC South division leader kicking and screaming into the playoffs that year, early exit. But the division has been up for grabs for a couple of seasons, but the Panthers just could not quite get it right, whether it was injuries, coaching carousel, you don't know who the QB is. It was just always something. But it seems like this team is coming together at the right time. Are they locks for the postseason? Not yet, but we've seen enough flashes to where we know that if they can be consistent, they're in the conversation. And it's been a while since they've been in the conversation.
I think in the conversation, like, that's putting it mildly. I think they are. I've been saying this, and I kind of tooted my own horn on Twitter a little bit, and I've said it on Quick Blitz. I just didn't pull the receipts. I have not been that convinced
sold on the Bucks.
I have not been sold on the Bucks. I have not been sold on the Bucks. And so to think that they were going to run away with the NFC South, like a lot of people thought, was never in my mind. And if the Panthers could have gone into the last 3-week stretch, at least within a game of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then I felt like they had an opportunity. I didn't think that Tampa Bay was just this great team. I honestly said they were going to lose either to the Saints or to the Dolphins. I thought it would be the Dolphins. It ended up being the Saints, and they could catch an L against the Dolphins too. They aren't this NFC South juggernaut. They do not run the South. I mean, it's just, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but the NFC South has always been very much so open. Even coming into the season, nobody knew what was going to happen. Just so happened that, the Panthers have found something that works, and they're at this point competing for a number one spot. You mentioned it being the bye week. We were actually in the locker room today. We were on site. The Panthers had a practice, no pads. It was very light. It was more like it wasn't
like a walkthrough, install type of thing.
It wasn't a walkthrough, but it was a light practice. No pads, none of that stuff. And a couple of guys who are coming back from injury. Let's see. We got JC. JC was on the field. Now, Canales would not say if he's coming back because they don't do the official injury report until Wednesday. But JC was out there, and this one, This one is a big one. Rob Hunt. Rob Hunt, for the first time, was on the field. He was on the field. He did not practice with the team, but he was on the field working out. Usually, we have seen he's been with the team, of course, but I would see him leaving on a cart like when practice started. But he was on the practice field. Ask Canales about that after when he spoke to the media, and here's what he had to say. Because we saw Rob working on the side. Yeah. Is he gonna be elevated? What's your plan with Rob right now?
He's getting closer. We're not going to open up his window this week, but he's getting closer. He's getting stronger, and would love to see him back at some point, over this next stretch.
How realistic do you think that Rob comes back this season?
I think that if they are primed to make a playoff push, I think we see him back. If again, like we're going to address a little bit later in the show, like Mike Jack said, if they don't take care of business this week, nothing else really matters. So I think that this week and possibly the Seahawks week are going to be pivotal in whether or not he'll come back this season. Well, I'll say I feel like we will get another reevaluation of his return after Sunday, because that Sunday is going to show a lot. Sunday is huge. If the Panthers beat the Saints, they take care of business, and hey, I'm not ruling anything out with the Falcons in the books.
Exactly.
They might not lose 2 in a row, but I'm not ruling anything out with the Falcons in the books. So I think that this week and the results of this week's game are going to determine whether or not we see Rob Hunt back this season. If they lose this game, I see no reason to rush him back. I see no reason to rush him back. I mean, you're still not completely out of the picture, but I see no reason to rush him back. The only reason you rush a Rob Hunt back in this season is if there is going to be a push for the playoffs or push into the playoffs.
Well, if I were a head coach, and I'm not, of course, but I would think that, if he's going to be the guy, say they do make the playoffs, I would want him playing at minimum that Seattle game, then get it, kind of get your feet wet. This is not like, you got to kind of warm up that body. He hasn't played for all of these weeks. I would say get him in Seattle. If he can't play by Seattle, I don't know if I would put him out there at all, because then you risk putting him in there week 18 for basically a pre-playoff game where I feel like the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Panthers will be playing for that final spot on week 18.
I think so too.
Do you put him in there just in there? No. And then would you want to put him in there when you're in the playoffs? I don't know. So I feel like if he can't get in there by Seattle, just rest my man for the rest of the season. The offensive line has been doing a pretty good job with him. Without him, not that he wouldn't be an upgrade, but it's not like they're out here terrible right now. And so they found their rhythm. If he can't play by Seattle, let him sit out the rest of the season, because I just don't like the idea of thrusting him into a game of huge significance and he has to knock off some rust.
I agree. I mean, and then again, by the time the Seattle game comes, they will have played the Bucks once. They will have played the Saints, and there would be a clear inclination as to how realistic it is that they're going to make the playoffs. So, I mean, it's just one of those things, but I mean, that's one of those bridges you got to cross when you get to it, because if they lose on Sunday, I think this conversation is a moot point.
Speaking of Sunday, what were you doing yesterday? Were you hate watching yesterday?
Girl, I was in pain yesterday. I was hate watching a little bit. I was in pain, but I was hate watching a little bit. I peeked over there a couple of times. I said, "Oh, it's fourth quarter and it's still close." I said, "Oh, the Saints got the ball. Oh, the Bucks have turned it." Oh, yeah, I was kind of peeking. I was even hoping that the Falcons might, shake some stuff up with the Seahawks, because even if the Panthers do not win the division, you got to look at those wild card spots, and it is log jammed when it comes to the NFC. So I'm like, hey. I think yesterday was probably the one day that Panthers fans were actually rooting for the Falcons and the Saints. And I don't think that they're going to ever happen again, except, they may be Falcons fans this Sunday, because the Falcons do play the Bucks. I just think that when it comes down to it, Yeah, you know it's a different time in Charlotte or in the Carolinas when they're rooting for the Saints. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, the Panthers fans weren't the only ones rooting for the Saints.
Watching the game, yeah. Wanted to make sure that I was connected to the story of it. I got to be honest, I got a little emotionally involved in the game, at times, and something I try to, remind our players is like, hey, watch these games. Let's try not to get too, emotionally connected. But how can you not? It impacts all of us in this division, and certainly it impacts us going into this week with another division opponent.
Emotionally involved. Were you cheering for the Saints then?
I mean, anything that helps, right? We're all competing out here, and honestly, like knowing that they're playing good football, knowing that it's going to require the best of us, allows us to make sure that the focus is right. It heightens that awareness, so that we understand, like every single week, this league is full of teams, especially the ones that are finding their best ball late in the season. It's a really important opportunity for us.
Emotionally involved is a nice way of saying Dave Canales was definitely hate watching. Dave Canales was probably the biggest hate watcher. And I posted the video and all the Panthers fans were like, he is one of us. Yes, Dave Canales was definitely hate watching. Cedric, yes, he was.
Oh, for sure.
And it was crazy. He said, I was emotionally involved. Like, that's so cute. Like,
such a cutesy way to say it, right? Such a cutesy way to say it. He was watching like, yo, get it done. And then I'm going to come into Mercedes and then I'm going to get it done. Because at the end of the day, like now this Saints team, of course, any division game is going to be a toss-up. You can't take any of them lightly. But a team that has nothing to lose is a dangerous team. They have everything to gain. Sweeping the Panthers in a down year? Playing spoiler to the Panthers' playoff hopes? Like, those are the things that team is going to be playing for on Sunday. They have absolutely nothing to lose, already being eliminated from the postseason hunt.
You already know Cam Jordan in there trying to get them hype.
And they're trying to get the broom out. So they will be, boots on the ground doing everything they can to spoil the Panthers' party, because that's what divisional rivals do.
And you know what? Shout out to Dave Canales. He literally, Dave will give us pockets of vulnerability, right? As a head coach and even as a player, you can't come out. You got to be PC. Yeah. And even in his answer, he was PC. But if you read between the lines, you will see that, he was hate watching like every other Panthers fan who was emotionally connected to this weekend.
I mean, honestly, if he wasn't, I would be a bit worried.
Listen,
I would be a little bit concerned if he was not hate watching. And it was funny. Not as many of the guys would admit to having watched that game yesterday. Right. I thought that was interesting. A couple of them were like, oh, I didn't know it was that important. It was. It was very important. A couple of them were like, hey, I was watching another game, but, I was kind of peeking at scores. I was just a little surprised that not as many of them watched. I know it was a bye week. They might have been getting that last little, quality time away from football. But I feel like you have to at least peek at the score, even if you're kind of like, oh, I'm football free this weekend. You have to at least peek at the score.
I think they all did. You can't not peek at the score, right? It's right. Just something where, but I also think, these guys can't get, unfortunately, right? They can't get too high and they can't get too low. So they say that you can't get too high, you can't get too low. But I mean,
they have.
If you're playing for an opportunity to make the playoffs and the one person in your way is playing at a divisional rival, I'm all the way checked in.
And like you said, as far as I'm saying that they don't get too high, get too low, they have gotten too high. And we saw that after the Green Bay game, and they beat the team. They beat a team with one loss and then come in a very hostile territory. Then they come home and lose to a team that has one win. So I do think, or even just like they'll have a big win over a team that they were mathematically, statistically, odds on favorites to lose these games. And then they'll have a letdown in a very winnable game. So I think that this bye week coming before this stretch was extremely, extremely important. I think that especially coming off of that Rams game, it was a highly emotional game. It was a nail biter. It was a thriller. So I think that they needed that week in between to come down on that dopamine high so that they are pretty grounded when they go into the Saints. And as much as they say that that's not what had happened, I think that that's what happens with this team as far as consistency. They outperform the odds, and then they're kind of still on this high, on this rush. And then another team that they're supposed to be kind of comes in and kind of just, flies under the radar. So I do think that week off is enough for them to put the Rams game really behind them. I know everybody, we want to be 1-0. I get it. I hear what you're saying, but I see what y'all have done. So I do think that bye week gave them a good little buffer to be like, okay, that's cool. Now back to reality. Let's handle business.
Let's talk about something that E. Clemens said. He or she said they did a playoff predictor. The chance of Panthers making the playoffs as a wild card team is very low. I actually do not think it can happen. It's either win the division or no playoffs. Let me tell you what. Last week, I think the Panthers had maybe a 13% chance of winning the division. And now it's up to like 46%. Those playoff predictors, they are week to week, honey. They change.
Game to game.
It's game to game. It is very muddled at the bottom of that for those playoffs. I mean, you got Detroit at 8-5. You got Carolina at 7-6. You got Dallas at 6-6. Chicago is probably the one team that nobody is going to be able to catch up with. Yeah. And even those divisions are in play. But yeah, it very, with 4 games left, it's more likely that the Panthers win the division, of course, to get into the playoffs. But
for sure,
it is not completely,
has to happen.
It's not completely out of the realm of possibilities that they sneak into the playoffs. A team always sneaks into the playoffs. So you're like, how did they get into the playoffs? And Plymouth, yes, if you win the division, you get a home game.
I saw a couple of Panthers fans in the last couple of weeks saying that how electric it will be, not would be, will be when the Panthers host a playoff game and Cam Newton comes and hits the key pounding drum. They didn't say would be, they said when. I'm just saying.
Is this person connected to Cam Newton? Are they
no, this is just Panthers
out there in the stratosphere?
Yeah, all right, into the atmosphere.
Let me speak on this real quick. This was not on our agenda, but I feel like outside of what the players have done on the field, I feel like the Panthers have pretty much met/exceeded expectations on the field. This is the 10-year anniversary of that 2015 team. And I have not seen the team do anything in season to recognize that squad. And I think that is they missed the mark terribly by not doing that. Every home game, they should have brought back a member of that 2015 team to bang on that drum.
Yeah.
Every home game. Yeah. I don't care whether it was, I don't care who it was. You have enough guys that you could have brought back somebody doing that. Now, if they're able to pull that off, then it makes up for everything that they didn't do during the season. If they brought out Cam Newton to bang on the keep pounding drum ahead of a playoff game at home on the 10th anniversary of that 2015 season, Austin's are
electric
in my book, and it's electric. But I just think that it's just they missed the mark on that one. I know they did some stuff preseason, but I expected, and I was told that they might have thought that it might have taken away from the team on the field, but I don't think so.
I disagree.
You can acknowledge greatness in history and still live in the present. You can do both.
Well, you see a lot of teams that have done that. I think most recently the Broncos brought back either their Super Bowl winning team or a certain class, a certain, season or whatever. And they brought all those guys back for a reunion in season prior to a home game. So it can be done. It has been done around the league. I know that they did like a 10-year anniversary thing that I thought was going to be bigger, but it was kind of just on YouTube.
YouTube.
And you have guys like it was just on
Sheena,
YouTube. That's what it was on, friend.
That's disrespectful.
That's what it was on. I mean, they had guys come back and they had guys come back into the city specifically for that, but it just ended up on YouTube. So I thought that it would have been bigger, but it wasn't. I mean, you have a lot of guys that are still around the city that were part of that 2015 team.
Absolutely.
We have Kuechly every week. We see him every week in the press box on his way to go do the color commentating.
Captain
you got
Munnerlyn
Jonathan Stewart. You have Charles Johnson. Yeah.
Trey Boston lives in the city.
Yeah.
These are guys we see on a regular basis. That should have been something that they should have done this. That I think that the team has done a better job on their socials. I think that they are making strides. They missed the mark on this one. So, I just like if you were in the city in 2015, crazy.
So Kelly Clark says, I'm still not over SB50. It's so painful. Maybe they want to avoid that too. There's nothing for them to avoid. There's only like 2 players on the team that were around then. So there's no, there's nothing for them to avoid when it comes to that.
I'm off my soapbox. If you were in the city in 2015, what that team did for the city, what they were able to accomplish, like, I don't know if any city will see anything like it. I don't know if they'll see. I even remember 2003. It wasn't like 2015. It was not like 2015. So, that's just my opinion. But yeah, I felt like they missed the mark. We talked to a couple of other guys in the locker room. Going back a little bit from last week, we talked to Trayvon Merrick, and after he had his incident with Juwan Jennings, what was the guy from the Browns?
Ooh.
I don't know, but the guy from the Browns called him out too. Trayvon, of course, was asked about this in the locker room today. This is what he had to say.
This next week, I probably won't speak on it, so just keep it up.
I do have to ask you, though, man, the Browns D lineman or came out and said that he was talking about their family and saying all kinds of mess. Did that sort of, I don't want to say justify it, but what was your reaction when you heard that they said that about Juwan?
I don't really have a comment on that.
Look, I'm going to tell you what. That agent, Tory Dandy, PR, got to him and said, don't you speak on that anymore. Don't you speak on that anymore. I would have loved for him to say, told you so. And that's it. That's all.
Listen, you know me. You know me. I'm gonna go to the source and get to the bottom of it. So I asked Juwan Jennings what he be saying.
I didn't know you were going to share this tea.
Everybody else.
This is a quick Blitz exclusive.
Listen.
Repeat this though. I got. Tell him what you did again. You did what?
What are you saying?
She texted Juwan Jennings. Okay, guys. Listen, if you don't watch
tell him what he be saying.
This is tea that you're missing. Sheena, tell him what he said.
I said, yo, I'm gonna tell you. See, I'm gonna tell you verbatim what he said. I'm gonna tell you verbatim what I asked. I said, WTF do you be saying on that field? He said, it don't even be crazy. Them boys some sissies with a laughing emoji. Because I wanted to know. I was like, I got to know what he be saying because he gets some piss. He gets the people going. And he said, it don't even be crazy. They some sissies.
Do you believe him, though?
He's got to be saying some wild stuff. Like, even Mike Jack was like, look, I ain't got nothing good to say about 15. And we have never heard Mike Jack speak on another player on another team.
Not like that, yeah.
So I had to, that's why I was like, what do you be saying? Once Shelby Harris said something, I said, what do you be saying?
Even him calling them sissies is like, okay, bro, I know you're talking reckless to those guys.
They said Buddy from the Browns don't even operate like that. So for him to get under his skin, that man had tears in his eyes. And you know when somebody is pissed to tears
in his eyes. I saw the interview, but
Girl, he was, yes, highly emotional. He was pissed. He was charged up. When someone has tears in their eyes from anger, that's next level. That is next level. That's what made seeing his reaction finally made me be like, dude, what do you be saying? Because he be talking crazy. He be saying some crazy. What do you be saying? He said it don't even be that crazy.
He a lie. Okay. I'm here to tell Joanne that I said he lying because I know like one guy, okay. But for that guy, Shelby, I didn't see the tears, but he was definitely emotional. Emotional to the point where you so mad you want to beat somebody up, but you can't risk it. It's just not enough.
That's what he looked like. Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly what he looked like.
So for him to say that, you either talking about a couple of things. You either talking reckless about somebody, woman,
wife,
you talking reckless about their kids, they talking reckless
parents,
about their mama. That's it. That's
yep.
it. And honestly, if truth be told, like that should be off limits. But Taylor, yes, he meant every word. He said
he meant every syllable.
Them boys,
like, he
some
was
sissies. Wow.
Because I had to ask, I was like, I got to know what he be saying now because like now I'm intrigued. Now I'm invested. But yeah, he was like, I don't even be saying nothing crazy.
That's cap. I don't believe that at all.
That's hilarious.
Back to
whatever it is, it gets the people going. Okay.
It gets them going. We talked to Nick Scorton in the locker room today. Here's what he said about this New Orleans game, and we'll talk about what was said at the end in a minute.
Watching them, knowing that a Saints win helped you guys as far as your postseason plans, and then you turn around and the very next day you got to prepare to go.
That going good, ain't it?
Business in New Orleans.
Chewing the hell out of it.
It was just football being football. Any given Sunday. So, I think we're already lucky to have that week to study for the Saints. Obviously because they beat us last go around. So, we're excited to go to New Orleans this week.
Week 14 bias looks pretty brutal at the start of the season, but now that you're sort of through it, like, are you kind of glad that it happened when it did? Now in retrospect,
blessed. Just the rest that I got this week. The mental rest. I'm excited to play this last quarter of football. And then playoffs. So it was perfectly timed, and tried to put it at the end of the year. We handle business. So.
How much do you think this defense has changed from the first time that you guys played the Saints to this upcoming week?
How much the defense?
Do you think you guys have had any substantial changes?
I just think we're just trying to go be us. We're establishing our identity every week, just like they are, and we're just trying to be us. We're not going to change anything. We're not trying to, go out and do anything different, but just be us. And that's just the mentality.
This was the game last time that several of y'all thought the focus wasn't there. How did the start of the week go, in your opinion, today?
We're excited to go 1-0, play the Saints this week.
All right, thank you, Nick.
Thank y'all.
So I'll say this: Scorton is a rookie.
Yeah.
So he wasn't around when Cam Jordan sent that broom and that bottle of wine to Cam Newton after they swept the Panthers. So I think that he is saying everything that he's supposed to say. And I get the whole measured approach. This is just an important game because it's the next game and we're trying to go 1-0. I get that. You can't get swept by the Saints. Not in what is all but a down year for the Saints. You can't get swept by the Saints. You just can't.
So Nick Scorton, I really haven't talked to him since he made that faux pas. The last time they played New Orleans and said that guys got the big head. And that clip went viral. I wish I had the clip, but basically, if you weren't paying attention after the New Orleans game, because they had just beaten the Packers, they came home, laid an egg to the Saints. Scorton basically said that the team didn't practice well. some guys got complacent and they got the big head. And that quote was posted and it went viral, especially among
super
Panthers
viral.
fans. And I'm sure players saw it, which I know they did. And Scorton was hurt by that. He was hurt by that.
I mean, and the thing about it is, you know, a lot of Panthers fans commended him for keeping it real, but you can't keep it real at the expense of locker room chemistry.
There
and I'm
you
pretty
go.
sure that a lot of vets got in his ear like, hey, it's cool to feel the way you feel, but we have to be a united front. We keep stuff like that in-house. But that's just one of those growing pains as a rookie. And you can tell that someone said something to him about it, probably not in a disrespectful way. They probably was like, look, I feel you. Some of them might be like, hey, I agree with you. But that's internal housekeeping stuff. You can't let that stuff get out into the media because they're going to take it and absolutely run with it. See, and that's the thing. Like, you know, Taylor Harrison says, man, I bought Scorton's jersey for making that comment. I loved it. Plymouth 822 said, I don't understand why what he said was so bad to you.
Yeah.
But from a locker room standpoint, from a brotherhood standpoint, from a camaraderie standpoint, that is a faux pas. We keep that stuff in-house. You can feel the way you feel. You can cuss, scream, yell, do whatever you want to do. Hold folks accountable for sure. But when we put stuff out into the media, we put stuff out as a united front, as we. And I think that that's just one of the things Canales said they wanted it kept in house. I mean, that's natural. That's every team. And one thing about the Panthers is no matter how bad these seasons go, most of the time that stuff is still kept in house. You don't really get anybody, you know, putting it out there like that. And that's just one of the things that he's having to learn as a rookie. You know, rookie mistake. They talked to him. He cleaned it up. And you could tell in his media interaction since then that he's very cognizant of what he says.
I hate that though. One, because that was more of like a rookie mistake. You know how you make rookie mistakes off the field? I mean, on the field, that was an off-field rookie mistake. And after it went up, I absolutely am positive that one of the vets took him to the side and was like,
oh, for sure.
There's no way you can do that. And let's keep it real. I understand the fans like that, but that message doesn't come from rookies. You got to have a little cachet in the league to say that publicly, right?
Yeah.
You got to have a little cachet.
For sure.
You got to be one of those guys who plays and is paid, right? You got to be on your second contract.
You got to earn that.
Okay?
Yeah, you got to earn that.
You got to be Derek Brown money. You got to be J.C. Horn money. That's what you got. Those literally, like Bryce Young can't even call out guys like that right now. If we're keeping it real, JC, Derek Brown, Chuba.
But even when they have spoken up, they make it. They don't do that. But even when they want to make a comment as far as the performance of the team, they are in front of it. J.C. Horn said, look, I'm one of the highest paid players on this team. I got to be better. Those are the types of like constructive feedback that you get. Because again, like I said, we can all see it. And I'm sure his teammates agree with him. It wasn't the greatest week of practice. But those are things that you talk about amongst yourselves. That is internal housekeeping for sure. And if you are going to speak on it, you lay on the sword first.
Yeah.
First, you know what I mean? Right. You lay on the sword first if you have to speak on it.
And I brought that up because now we're getting real PC answers from Nick Scorton.
For sure.
And we're going to continue to get real PC answers. And that wasn't always the case. Like Nick was like, even in that moment, he was saying
very
exactly
authentic.
How he felt. He was authentic about it, you know, but now we're getting PC in the box Scorton. And you don't necessarily want your players like that. There's a fine line to saying too much and then still being authentic. I hope that, of course, he had a bad experience this year with that specifically. I do hope he finds that middle ground where you're able to still keep your personality, but not lose your voice in the midst of it, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But Nick's a good guy. He's a good guy. So kudos to him. We talked to Mike Jack in the locker room. This is what Mike Jack said.
A stretch where literally every game counts. What is the mentality that you guys are heading into this last final stretch?
Just win today. Win today, then win tomorrow, and then win the game on Sunday. Don't look down the road, because at the end of the day, we don't do what we're supposed to this week. It really don't matter.
Given where you all started the season, to come back in after the bye, being tied for first with 4 games left, what's it mean?
It don't mean nothing, because we still got to play both teams twice. So being tied for first is like, yeah, it's cool, but still got to play the Saints, still got to play the Bucs twice. So, like, to me, it don't really mean nothing.
How?
Because it don't. Like, you got to play them. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm happy, but you still got to play them twice.
Job's not done.
But you have the opportunity, which last year this time you didn't.
Yeah, that's cool, but we still have to play them. So even if you still have to play them, no matter if you last in a division or first. Like, so that's kind of how I look at it.
Not me saying how.
I mean, and the thing about it is,
job's not done, right?
Job's not done, and he's being real. Like, the one thing Mike Jack is going to do is keep it real. Look, this team beat us in week 10. We can't look past them a day. We can't look towards Monday. We got to look Sunday. We have to handle our business, because right now we're 0-1 against this team. We're 0-1. If we don't take care of business this week, nothing else matters. These tie breaks, these common opponents, the head-to-head, the point differential, none of that stuff matters if you don't win. So that's step one. Win the game and talk about the rest of that stuff later. And I get it, because the Panthers have not been in this position in a while. So it is a natural question to ask. And I feel like his response is the response of a competitor. Like, look, that's cool, but I feel like the first time around, they overlooked the Saints.
Yeah.
He's not trying to make that same mistake twice. They overlooked them. He's not trying to make that same mistake twice. So, good veteran answer, and I feel like that is a genuine answer. I feel like he really feels that way. I don't feel like he's being PC. I think he legitimately is like, look, I mean, we still a 7-6 team that's been inconsistent.
Yeah. I was
the
just
Saints
shocked
win helped us yesterday.
Yeah. He
We
was
still
like,
got work to do.
but he literally said, I mean, it's cool and all, but basically, job's not done.
Are you gonna hang the banner somewhere that through week 14 the Panthers were 7-6? That means nothing.
Ooh, but not hang the banner.
You can't hang the banner saying that through week 14 the Panthers were 7-6. Like, if you have that, you're setting the bar in hell. And again, like, he's not a moral victory person. Mike Jack is very black and white. Ain't no gray areas, no pats on the backs, no almost, or, oh, y'all are getting better. He wants the dub. He wants to be playing past the first week in January. And this team has shown through flashes that they have the tools to do that. They just have to come out there and do it every single week. And that consistency, and I know we didn't have it on the agenda, but I think we did have it on the agenda. That consistency starts with Canales' play calling.
Yeah, I was okay. Go flow.
That it's top down. It's going to start with his play calling, and like I said before, and like he ended up admitting to, how that first series goes determines how open he makes it. He is with the playbook. But we saw something different against the Rams. We saw him stick to his game plan. We saw him stick to his play call. More importantly, he has situational awareness with those running backs. He didn't come in with a set number of plays that each of them was going to play. He didn't come in with a set series of who was going to play where. He assessed each situation and which back would be best for each situation. And I think as long as he can do that going forward, the Panthers will be a tough team to beat. But that consistency starts with him. He cannot get there, wet the bed, let the lights be too bright. He has shown that he can call a good game against good defenses. He has to trust in that, trust in himself. A lot of people say, oh, he doesn't trust Bryce. He has to trust himself first as a head coach and play caller. If he can be consistent, I think the team goes as Canales goes. We haven't seen this team put together an amazing offensive effort and the defense completely let them down. We haven't seen that this season. All last season, absolutely. We haven't seen that this season.
I feel like that game against the Rams, that probably was my favorite I was the most impressed at his play calling in that game. And it started with how he utilized his running backs. And listen, just like Canales, just like Bryce, like Canales is a very young play caller. Canales was 1 year as an offensive coordinator, then thrust into a head coaching position where he was head coach and signal caller. And now he's in his second year of doing that. There are learning curves and bumps in the road that he will go through as well. That whole series for series mess he tried with Chuba and Rico, disastrous.
Saw it didn't work. Yeah.
It did not work. Then, okay, he went exclusively with Rico. Okay, that's cool. But if you want to call the game like you want to call the game, I mean, I felt like he went with Chuba. He went with Rico on first and second down, Chuba on third, and other situational type plays. I thought the way he handled his run game that week against the Rams was ideal, right? And this team, obviously, in the offensive line, this is a team that likes to run the ball, and they want to run the ball. And so how you call those run plays are important. And even him like going his fourth down calls, the shots that Bryce took to Coker, the shot that he took to T-Mac, like I thought that Canales did a heck of a job, and he needed to do that against the Rams for them to win. Now he's going to have to do that week in and week out. The question is, has he found his groove, right? As a play caller and as a head coach. If maybe that was his kind of like his glass ceiling.
Coming out party.
Maybe he broke through that glass ceiling and he entered a flow state where he'll be able to continue to flow with the play calling, the head coach. And now you trust Bryce, you trust your running backs, you know you're going to start with the run, then you're going to hit him with some other stuff. Like even in the San Francisco game, overthinking things, right? Well, they had to respect the pass more because Bryce threw for over 400 yards against Atlanta. No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. They had to treat the game the way that they were supposed to, that this is a new game.
One game and now everybody got to respect your pass. No, it doesn't work like that. So I think that Canales learned his lesson. And like you said, it begins and of course, Bryce has to do what he has to do, but that play calling has to be solid. It has to be solid. It has to be solid.
Yeah, like you said, maybe, he is going to enter into a flow state where he's trusting himself and trusting his judgment, but also still leaving a little wiggle rooms to be able to adjust as the defense adjusts to him. So we saw that too. If the defense adjusts, you need to be able to adjust as well. Speaking of defense, I'm still not a fan of the zone on defense, but I know that not last Sunday, but in the Rams game, he kind of had to play zone because they were, down manpower wise, in the secondary. So he kind of had to play zone, but it'll be interesting to see if we see any adjustments from Evero.
Are you giving Evero a flower yet?
I'm not giving nothing yet. Absolutely not. Okay. I'm not giving. Man, the last time y'all tried to have me give that,
stem?
Because the last time people had me give him a pedal, what happened?
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
I'd rather save the pedals, the stems. I'd rather save that and give him a bouquet at the end of the season, which hopefully for the Panthers fans ain't at the beginning of January. So at that point, when I see some consistency too on that side of defensive play calling, then we can have a conversation. And these picks that they're getting, are these just guys that are they instinctual or are they schematic?
MPZ said he deserves his flowers now.
No, I'm not doing that with y'all. You can give him a flower.
Wait, real quick. The answer, I think they're instinctual more than schematic. And I know where you're getting at with that. But they're saying we're not giving. Listen.
What did Mike say? The job's not done.
He said Sheena is not going to give him the dirt.
I'm a tough critic. Back end baby. You know what I'm saying? But I think that, come on, they were tearing that dang on zone up. Let's be real. The Rams game, Huge win, great win. They were not supposed to even be competitive in this game with all of the players that they had out, all the injuries that they had out. They were and people were judging them off that Monday night game. Short week, holiday, half the starting defense is out with injuries and things of that nature. The Rams were doing whatever they wanted to do, and the only way that the Panthers were getting stops were on turnovers. They had to get turnovers and takeaways to win that game.
Yeah.
Simply playing defense was not going to cut it. They had to take the ball away, and they responded and they did it. But they were tearing that zone up.
And a lot of teams
that zone
apart that zone.
They be tearing that zone up.
What the Panthers have been able to do is they will bend and bend badly. And they've been able to kind of hold steady in the red zone, but that's not always going to work. That's not always going to work.
It's not.
Kelvin said, I
saw that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this with y'all. I knew you were going to bring that. I knew you were going to bring that comment to the stage.
Okay. I just wanted to be messy for a little bit. Let's talk about this. Y'all not worried because the Panthers are the favorites. Sheena kind of touched on that earlier, and if you didn't hear, we'll revisit that because you put the question in the chat. Thanks, guys, for everybody who is commenting. And we have about over 1,200 people watching us right now. So thanks for tuning in, whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We appreciate the support. And make sure you're subscribing to our channel and also following us on all platforms. But to answer the question, Sheena said, or go ahead and say it real quick, because there are a lot of people who weren't here for that part.
Which part about them needing that bye week?
Said because there's a bye in between games, it doesn't have. The Panthers don't have time to kind of bask in the glory of upsetting the team.
Yeah, that dopamine high from the Rams game has worn off. Again, the Bucs losing opened the door. As much as people were like, "Oh, I didn't really pay attention," they paid attention. That opened the door. They're playing for something. I'm not saying that the games in week 3, 4, 5, 6 didn't matter, but we're into the meat and potatoes phase of the schedule, and this postseason is looking like an actual possibility versus a pipe dream. And again, they're winning these games that no one gave them a chance to win. No one gave them a chance at Lambeau. No, I mean, they were just trying to figure out how many points they were going to lose by. Rams, same thing. And I feel like the high from winning those games kind of dampened their ability to get ready for the next week's opponent. Because it's like, we beat the Packers. Oh, the Saints only won one game. So again, you go and beat a team with one loss, and then you lose to a team with one win at home. So I do think that regardless of all the PC, we don't get high, we don't get low, human nature, yes, you do. They were excited about that Rams game. Nobody went home on Sunday night and said, okay, yeah, time to flush your 24-hour rule. They basked in that a little bit. And I think that that's a natural thing for any competitor. You defy the odds, you beat, the odds that are stacked against you. Yeah, you're going to thump your chest a little bit. But when you have a game the very next week, you can't chest thump for too long because it's time to get ready. Yeah. And in that case, after the very first time they played the Saints had one win. Again, nothing to lose. Those are very dangerous games to play. And they knew that very little was expected of them, especially after the Panthers beat the Packers. Very little was expected of the Saints. But with having a week off, reality kind of sets back in. You come back in on Monday, and the Rams game is over a week past. So now you're solely focused on the Saints. And I think that having a late bye week kind of sucks. But in this situation,
it was the best thing that could have happened for the Panthers.
It was the best thing that could have happened for the Panthers as they made this final
Absolutely
push. Physically, your teams won an earlier bye, but mentally, I think that this was a very, like you said, the best week that it could have happened with where they are situationally and trying to make this playoff push.
Exactly. A couple of other questions. QJ Smith, is Roseboom back? to answer that question, Roseboom did practice. We won't get an official injury report until Wednesday. But I assume that he is back. If you weren't here, JC Horn did practice as well. But again, we won't know until Wednesday where they have the official injury report. Somebody else said, asked about flexing the games. The league has already announced the games that will be flexed that weekend, and the Panthers weren't on it. So
no, they're still going to be at 1 p.m.
They're still going to be at 1 p.m. I think any game that will be flexed, and then somebody said something about they hope that the games aren't flexed. I can't find that comment. Oh, yeah. I'd be more worried if they start to flex games. I think that if the Panthers and Bucks are playing for the division in that final week, they'll flex them to a Saturday game or a Sunday night game. But I don't think they flex a game before then. It would be probably that final game. But the game on the 21st is still at 1:00. And one other thing before we get to the unis.
Hold on, I gotta pull one to the stage. It's been bothering me. I've been trying to not let it bother me. Hold on, I gotta bring it up.
Too inconsistent.
The one I was looking for.
I knew you wanted to go. Come on now, we here. Bryce probably ain't it too inconsistent. But who do you want then?
Please tell me who in the NFL right now, week 15? There's not a QB in the NFL that you would rather have leading you to a potential game-tying or game-winning drive other than Bryce Young. You could feel the way you feel. You could talk about his height. You could talk about inconsistent, this, inconsistent, that. He has consistently been clutch. When the Panthers are within striking distance, there's no other quarterback you'd rather have than Bryce Young. When I see quotes like this, you just don't like Bryce. This isn't somebody that's watching these games. And again, I respect everybody's opinion. I don't think that everything I say is right or correct, but I know what I see. I see the results. I believe I'm a numbers girl. I'm a numbers woman, accountant, finance. That's my steez. Vashti, you're the same. We judge based off of the results. We're not stat watching like, oh, he only threw for 150. If 75 of them came on a game-winning touchdown, that's who you want. Bryce is clutch, and I wish we would have pulled up the video of Teteroa saying that, because he said it consistently throughout this season. There's nobody that they would rather be in that huddle with than Bryce Young. The confidence is there. They feel like if they are with, and Bryce told us last season, as long as there's down and distance, they have a chance. They're in the game. They believe that they have a chance. They're never down and out. And again, he has shown, 11 game-winning drives? He's the youngest NFL quarterback to ever do so at 24 years of age. I don't think that there's any other quarterback you want in that situation other than Bryce Young right now, and he's showing and proving it.
And that's
he's going to have his detractors like everybody in the world.
But there have been moments when he's been inconsistent. But add on top of that, the play calling has been inconsistent as well.
Very true.
The offensive line has been inconsistent. And I'm not a Bryce apologist, and neither is Sheena. But the facts are what they are, right? I would rather have my QB be clutch in the fourth quarter than hoop in the first and third and then wet the bed
and in the fourth, disappearing in the fourth. The thing about it,
and I do think it's probably too early to say he ain't it. This is year what? 3?
It's way too early, because the same people that say that Bryce is not it, the same people that say that are the same people that are saying that the Panthers quit on Baker Mayfield or quit on Sam Darnold too early, and now they're balling somewhere else. It takes some patience. We're about to be in year 4. Look at what he's had to deal with. Look at what he's had to work with. And I think the same way that I just don't think rookies or rookie quarterbacks in particular, I'm not going to say rookies, I don't think quarterbacks in particular are given realistic grace when it comes to their situations. I know, and part of that, a large part of that is because wins and losses are a QB stat. You don't attribute the wins and losses to a cornerback. You don't attribute that to the running back. Like, the QB stat that follows him, no matter what, is going to be wins and losses. Whether it's his fault, whether it's the defense, it's always going to be, Bryce Young is X, Y, and Z as a starter. You never see JC Horn as X, Y, Z as a starter. You never see, Derek Brown as X and Y as a starter. It's a quarterback metric. It always will be. There's nothing we can do about it. But and Bryce will himself tell you he needs to be more consistent. No one is arguing that. But to say that he just ain't it, you're going to continue to be in quarterback purgatory trying to find somebody that is it if you're going to wash, repeat, get rid of them in 2-3 seasons. To me, this is still Bryce's second season.
I think
season 1 did not count.
Season 1 didn't count. I think people think quarterbacks grow on trees. They do not.
They do.
And if I will absolve Bryce of the first year. Second year under Canales, I have seen growth and improvement. I think the Panthers played him through the fourth. You exercise his option. See what they do this year.
Yeah.
They don't have a choice. See what he does this year. And then, if he starts the beginning of next year on showing considerable improvement, you ink him sooner than not. I'm sorry. You got to. I mean, otherwise, what are you going to continue to try to draft a quarterback? You gave up so much for him. You have to want him to succeed. And they have surrounded him with stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. And Joe said half the wide receivers from his rookie year are out of the league. It was just a tough outing.
They're out. I mean, and even Adam Thielen, who was his go-to guy, did Adam have 1,000 yards this season? I think Adam had 1,000. Adam Thielen.
What about him?
Maybe not that season. Maybe it was last season. I was trying to figure out if he had 1,000 yards with Bryce. It might have been the season.
He did have 1,000.
But either way, yeah, he had 1,000 yards with Bryce, and he is retiring. But the other guys did not catch on. I mean, is Hayden Hurst still in the league?
No, I don't think so.
And Smith Marset hasn't played wide receiver since he left the Panthers. Terrace Marshall Jr., I saw where he signed, I want to say to the Colts practice squad most recently. DJ Chark.
Mingo. Chark.
Jonathan Mingo. So you can't.
Even Johnson.
Deontay Johnson.
And that wasn't because of lack of talent. He had some other stuff going on, but Bryce wasn't for sure. That was supposed to be his guy. It's just been a rough out, but he has consistent receivers. Like this is, and you've seen improvement. So I don't wanna we said it. Hall said get them aunties. But I'm a shout out Taylor. Thank you. They're not old enough to be aunties.
Thank you, Taylor. How sweet. But yeah, these whole we need a quarterback. Who's coming out of college that you trust to take you down the field and on a game-winning drive? Like they say that, and these are some of the same people that were making those Bryce Young edits before when he was at Alabama. You know what I mean? When they were, and at the time I was like, that ain't even gonna be no possibility because of where the Panthers were in the draft. They went up, took their guy, depleted him of all other assets, by the way. But, Dan Morgan is starting to right some of those wrongs. And you're seeing Bryce continue to grow and develop in his third year. I mean, it just is what it is. He was the best quarterback in that draft class. Right now, he is the best quarterback in that draft class. He's proven that he should have gone number one. I've been saying since Bryce's rookie season that you drop any other quarterback in that draft class into those same conditions, and I bet you get the same results that you got with Bryce Young. It just was not a good situation at all. And you're kind of seeing that taper off with the Texans. You're seeing Anthony Richardson. I mean, the Colts are bringing in Phillip Rivers for a workout. He's a grandfather.
Wild.
So again, like you said, quarterbacks don't grow on trees, just like edge rushers don't grow on trees. But that's a whole other conversation. But I think that right now they're in a very good spot. They control their destiny to a certain. Well, I'm not going to say to a certain extent. They control their destiny right now. Yeah, and if Canales, if that team that played the Rams shows up, bolstered by the return of J.C. Horn, possibly Claudin Sherlis, possibly Christian Roseboom, Trayvon Merrick will be back. It'll be an interesting game on Sunday.
Well, we do not have a dripping or tripping because there was no drip this week, but we are going to talk real quick before we go because we're going to try to get out of here before the Monday night game. I'm sure people will be tuning in. So in lieu of dripping or tripping, we're going to talk about our favorite. I know, right? We're going to talk about our favorite Panthers unis. Shout out Panthers unis on Twitter. They posted this graphic yesterday, And I was like, okay. We don't have a dripping or tripping. Let's talk about our favorite Panther Uni combo from this season. Sheena, what's your favorite and what's your least favorite? And then an honorable mention.
So my favorite is the all blue. I'm a fan of the color rush. I like that. My least favorite is the white on, is that silver? The 0-1 bottom right? Yeah, that's my least favorite.
That was the one they wore for the San Francisco game, I'm pretty sure.
That's the white top silver pants are mine. I just feel like it's too washed out. If that makes any sense.
All right, what's your honorable mention for favorite?
My honorable mention for favorite, probably the blue shirt, black pants.
Okay. Well,
that's my honorable mention.
We agree. My favorite is that processed blue color rush.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah. With the black helmet and the black socks. That's probably top 3 in the league. Top 2. And it ain't 2. Like that.
They weren't playing about getting that processed blue.
That blue pops so much. Then you pair it with the matte black helmet with the black socks. That is so fire. That color rush is
That's the best fire. One.
I like
Do
the
we know
all
what they're
black.
wearing Sunday yet?
I don't know. They released the jerseys ahead of time, but I don't know about the actual combo.
The pants. Okay.
My honorable mention is actually the white on white with the black helmet and the black socks.
That's nice. That is a nice combo.
I don't know. I think the white with the blue stripe, I think that kind of sticks out. I like that one. My least favorite is probably your least favorite, although it does look better in person than it doesn't photograph well. And if you ever look at, like, I look at some of these fashion
shows, looks bland.
But I think it doesn't photo well. Like, you ever put on a fit that looks good in person, but it just does not give what it's giving in person in the photos. That's what I think with this one. But compared to all of the other ones, I think that gray, the white
and gray, it didn't do anything. Helmet,
it's a little blah.
Girl, watch that be what they wearing Sunday.
I'm gonna tell you what, that all black with the matte black helmet, that also is up there, but they haven't worn that this season.
Well, let me tell you, like, as much as people probably feel like this is insignificant, you do know the GMs or the team tells the road team what they give them, the colors that they can wear, or they make the request. I remember Scott Fitterer telling me ahead of the Cowboys game the last season he was in Carolina. He was like, I should have made them wear, I forget what jersey it was. He was like, I should have made them wear such and such jersey. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, we get to make that choice. And he was like, he told me their record in that particular jersey combination. So I don't know if it's still like that, but he told me prior to the Cowboys game in the press box.
You've given Panthers fans another reason to hate Scott Fitterer. Congratulations.
I'm just telling you, he was like, I should have had them. He's like, man, we should have had them wear the such and such color because they're, and whatever in this jersey combination. So I didn't even know that it was that layered. But yeah, they do. So it'll be interesting to see the Saints. They're paying attention to these uniform combos and the results that the Panthers have gotten in these combinations. Whether it means anything or actually has any bearing on the game remains to be seen. But they do, or at least did, have the say so in what the away team wears.
Well, a couple of the comments. Go ahead.
And I know they were talking about the black helmets. Are they still? Is it still only a certain number of games that they can wear those black helmets for? Because it used to be.
Well, the black helmets aren't their primary helmet.
Right.
So they make it their primary helmet, but right now they're alternate helmets. So they are limited, I believe, in the games that they can wear that, right? Yeah. QJ said the all blue go crazy. He agrees. All black with the black helmet, all blue with the black helmet. Yeah, and they haven't worn the all black with the black helmet. I think they actually have a decent record in that, if you believe in those things.
Yeah.
But historically, the all black with the silver helmet, they have one of the worst records ever. I asked the historian, shout out David, the Panthers historian. He gave me their all-time record, and it's abysmal. So yeah.
You know, I've always hated that. As soon as I see that they have that, I've always hated
the
it.
black lids and socks go crazy. It really does. It really does.
Yeah, that's their best look so far, by far.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap up. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Quick Blitz. We will be back next Monday, probably back at our lunch. Well, you know what? We want to have a consistent time, but it's so weird.
Yeah, and then they'll change. They'll give us a different.
Right.
Yeah,
they'll
give us a different schedule.
So we will be in New Orleans, both of us, on Sunday to cover the game. We will be doing a halftime Quick Blitz spaces. So if you are one of our listeners during the halftime space, thank you for listening on that. If not, come on over to Twitter, check out our halftime spaces. They really be going in on the halftime spaces or whatever, but it's always a fun time in the halftime spaces. So also, we got about 1,500 people in here. If you are not subscribed, please make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel, following Sheena at Sheena_Marie3 on Twitter and on Instagram, and at Keep Blitzing on Twitter for me, and at Carolina Blitz on Instagram. We appreciate all of you guys' support. QJ, we don't do score predictions. I'm so sorry.
Nope.
I hate, because y'all what y'all not gonna do is put me on blast for a score prediction.
Girl, because you know they are. Summer Jam
You
screen
know they are. I just go off vibes. I walk into the stadium. I look at the guys warming up. How do I feel? What does the energy feel like? And we go off that. But yeah, we don't really do the score predictions, and it's just because, you know, y'all like to call us out. Y'all keep receipts. We do too. But y'all keep receipts.
And I be clapping back, and I ain't got time to be clapping back. Time to be clapping back, man.
We appreciate you guys so much for supporting us. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're following us on all social media platforms. We will be back next Monday. We just don't know what time because it depends on our travel schedule coming back. We like to bring the lunchtime vibe because I think most people really like the lunchtime slot, but it's hard when there are away games for us to do that. So
yeah.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Monday, and make sure you're telling everybody to follow Quick Blitz. Bye, guys.